Okay, guys, we are here today. It is another day. Today is Thursday. We have jobless claims, unemployment. Oil is back up a little bit after Iran publicly rejected the ceasefire. The president recently tweeted, probably like 15 minutes ago, maybe. This was actually 20 minutes ago. Wow, has time gone by that fast? He said, quote, "The Iranian negotiators are very strange and quote unquote, or very different and quote unquote strange," he says. He said they are, quote unquote, begging us to make a deal, which they should be doing since they have been militarily obliterated, he says, with zero chance of a comeback, and yet they publicly state that they are only looking at our proposal. Wrong, he says. They better get serious soon before it's too late, because once that happens, there's no turning back, and it will be pretty, end quote, U.S. President Donald Trump. Oil is up. NASDAQ is down. S&P is down again here, man. We are back down again today. And today we do have jobless claims unemployment going live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have jobless claims unemployment live at, let's see what we get today. What's up, Faye, Chef, Sergio, Sam, Dominique, Rick, Significant, Old Hack, Gamer, Ava, Alyssa, Matthew, Yee, Matt, Cash, Keegan, Pawn, Peak, Steve, Michael, Brian, Ruth, Daza, Jason, Killing, David, Jonathan, Tantrum. Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning. The best deal, people are saying? Yeah, again, we'll see what happens today, guys. We'll see what happens. But markets are back kind of nervous again. Again, S&P 500, 65, under 6,600. You can see we closed up here at 6640s yesterday. The S&P 500 is now down 6,500s. You can kind of see a bigger picture of this drop. We're still in a range, though. So just to understand this, like, we are still in a range. I would say the range is between 6,700 in the S&P all the way down to like the 66 or the 65, whatever this is. Let me see what exact point this is. Right around 6580s. I think this is the range. We've been in this range since Monday. What's up, MVK? What's up, brother? What's up, Kareem, my friend? What are the implications of jobless claims? So jobless claims are unemployment filings that we get week to week. You know, generally speaking, when we get jobs data, we get a couple different reports, and we cover all of them here. But jobless claims specifically are a little bit more real-time look at unemployment. We get it every week, and it's for the previous week. So it's how many people are filing for unemployment week to week is what jobless claims are. So a little bit more real-time look at unemployment and what that's looking like regarding the economy. Yeah, and so that is basically dropping today at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and there will be implications. I'm gonna go ahead and say what I said yesterday, which is that there's a pattern that repeats across decades regarding Middle East conflicts. And the core pattern in this, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, Iran is denying talks are happening, and they are. The president saying talks are happening, and, you know, who's telling the truth is what people want to know. The reality of it is, most of the time in history, there's a pattern that repeats itself across decades, and the core pattern is deny publicly, negotiate privately. This is kind of the playbook they use. Like, not them specifically, but everybody. This is the kind of playbook everybody uses in these type of things, where public perception, it's a battle of public perception, and how much pressure can you put on them to get the best deal you can. And that's essentially what's going on right here. An example of this, when Iraq invaded Iran in 1980, you know, they had a lot of stuff about ceasefire, and the same thing happened. Their leader at the time responded by saying the war would not end until a new government was installed and reparations were paid. Very similar to some stuff we're hearing now. This happened in 1979 and happened in the JCPOA nuclear deal in 2013 and 2015. And so there is, again, Mark Twain famously said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And so I think that's where we're at right now. We'll see what happens with the S&P 500. It is breaking down today. Oil is back up. Brent crude is back over $100 a barrel here. Here's West Texas Intermediate crude. It's at 93.40s this morning, 93.40s. And what do you guys think happens today? Who was it that won a cool 1 million betting that the president would start a war? Yeah, we'll see what we get in terms of inflation. Next week we get a bunch of jobs reports. But the week after that we get a lot of inflation data coming out. We also have breaking news in stocks, right? So in stocks there's a couple things going on. The first thing is, look at this stock. Pawn showed me this morning. VCX. VCX stock has gone from, what is this? $31 a share on the 19th when it IPO'd apparently, all the way up to $575 at its peak yesterday, back down to like basically 450 right now. And so you might ask, what is going on here? What's going on is, this is Fundrise Innovation Fund, which is VCX. It's one of the largest and first public venture capital funds to list on major exchanges. It has over 100,000 existing investors, an initial AUM of about $650 million. It listed on the New York Stock Exchange around the 9th, I think. I'm showing it was not even that long. This is showing the 16th here. But either way. Yeah, either way. This thing has soared over 1,500% above its net asset value since its debut. What's going on here? So most of the shares are locked up. What this actually does is this gives investors access to a portfolio of big private tech companies in AI, including OpenAI, Anthropic, Databricks, SpaceX, Anduril, and Ramp. So it's giving people exposure to private companies they can't normally buy right now, like big AI-centered private companies. It's a way for retail to own stakes in those companies that you normally can't buy, right? The actual assets in the fund are only worth, about $19 a share. But the stock hit $575 a share, and it's trading around $450 right now. That's a huge premium, 2,000+% premium over what it's actually worth. But most of the shares are locked up, so existing investors from before the IPO can't sell it yet. That's one of the things. So they can't sell it yet. So the tradable float, how many shares are available to buy and sell for investors, is very small. And so what happens when you have a small float stock and investors can't sell it? You get squeezes on the upside. And that's what's going on with VCX. I'm not touching this thing. Too risky. Too risky for me. But I just wanted to explain what's going on here, and it's going to be something that we're watching today. Other stock news that we have going on is, let's see what else we got. Yeah, so Merck is nearing a $6 billion all-cash deal to acquire biotech firms Terns Pharmaceuticals, TERN. If you look at TERN here, look at this volatility. Disney is reportedly working on something. Details still emerging with OpenAI. Disney's not reacting well, though. Disney's down at $95 a share here. I might start buying Disney if it keeps dropping. Braze is up after earnings yesterday. Chewy, which is a dog food brand, had a big gap up. DraftKings had a big drop yesterday. Chevron and Exxon reacting to oil prices surging. And yeah, rate cut odds. If we take a look at, let's take a look at yields this morning here. Gold. Actually, I want to take a look at gold real quick before we look at yields. Gold is down on the day as well, kind of with the stock market. And the reason gold is down, there's a lot of reasons, but the easiest way to look at it is gold is down because the hold on, wait. Yeah. Okay, so gold is down most likely because more tensions in the Middle East means more scarcity, which means higher oil prices and gas prices, which translates to higher inflation, which means we get less rate cuts this year. Bond yields go up because of higher interest rate sentiment, and less people are interested in buying gold because higher interest rate sentiment. Your bonds are paying more. Not more, but bonds are paying more than they normally do. with the increased elevation, higher interest rate sentiment. And so if you're getting paid, good percentages in bonds, you have less incentive to buy gold, if that makes sense. That's one of the reasons for sure. There's more reasons, like markets going down makes people need to sell things to cover margin calls and stuff like that. And so in that regard, gold is down. It's at 44.30s. The low of the last few days is at 4100s. I'm definitely watching 4100s on gold. Now we can take a look at treasury yields. Here's the 2-year yield. The 2-year yield is almost at 4% again. It ripped over 4% for a little while on the 23rd, so 3 days ago. It is back down underneath it, but it's pretty close this morning. It's at 3.937%. So here is the 2-year yield right now. Again, just higher interest rate sentiment with higher oil. Bro, is your Conscious on with you today? I don't hear him. Conscious, are you there?
Here, just listening. Keep him quiet.
See, he's here.
I would honestly, I mean, despite the fact that that bonds would be offering a higher yield, I would probably still take advantage of the lower prices of gold to buy if I could afford it.
Yeah, I mean, gold long term is a very consistent asset long term. It's one of the best inflation hedges long term. But when I say long term, I'm meaning decades. So like holding gold very long term is great. Short term it can be volatile. But absolutely. I still like gold. It's like Bitcoin lost 69,000. Yeah, another one of the stories we have today. Yeah, memory stocks are going down. If you look at SanDisk, which is a big memory provider, they hit 780s back on the 20th or whatever this was. They're back down to 650s. There's a reason for this though. There's a news catalyst coming out recently regarding Google. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. I could probably find the article, but Google essentially created some type of better compression, which would mean that we need for LLMs in AI, which means that we could need less memory in the future. We could have less memory demand in the future is kind of the story that we got going on right now in markets. Okay, I found the article. But yeah, Alphabet's Google said its new TurboQuant technology can limit the amount of memory required to run large language models by at least a factor of 6, reducing the overall cost of training AI memory forms, reducing the overall cost of training AI, which, is big. Memory, and I do think memory evolves over time. Like the efficiency that we have regarding memory and storage. Memory is basically like active power on your computer, like what you can do actively, like how many things you can run at the same time, like active power on your computer. And storage as well. Storage is the same thing. And so I think we're going to continue to see stuff like this, but memory has been on a run. SanDisk, you can see SanDisk here, but we are dropping a little bit over the last few days on stories. So that's one of the big stories today in stocks. Again, Google said its new TurboQuant tech can limit the amount of memory required to run LLMs by at least a factor of 6 is the story. So yeah, that's what's going on. Bitcoin is dying. Preach, brother. Nobody here listens. Oh, you're talking to Brit. Yeah. Yeah, Google's down. Go ahead.
What AI platform do you like, John? I mean, just in general, which one do you like to use?
I have two that I use every day. One of them is Perplexity. The other is Claude. Claude is freaking powerful. Like, Claude is great. It's expensive, but it's great. Genuinely great.
Is it more suited to one particular purpose?
Yes, Claude is better for like programming AI, building things.
Okay.
Perplexity is good for like querying, referencing news and stuff like that. Claude is just great though. Like, I cannot say enough good things about Claude. Claude's really, really solid.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, both Claude and Perplexity are great. Gemini's good too. but Gemini is more of a generalized AI system. I would say it does a lot of things great, but like if I need a there's specialties with each. You know, there's specialties with each. Claude, very good at programming, very good at building things quickly. Perplexity, great, really good at referencing news and stuff like that. Gemini, good overall, generally. So that's kind of my rankings of them right now. Google's down. Yeah, they had the lawsuit announcement yesterday. Let me see if I can find it regarding Google. I saw the news regarding them. So they lost the social media trial. A jury awarded $6 million in damages for Meta and Alphabet to a woman who is now 20 years old. During the trial, the plaintiff claimed the addictive design of social media caused her mental health to downward spiral as a child. I don't know. You know, I don't know if I agree with that lawsuit. I think realistically, that responsibility falls on the parents. You know, parents, they need to do their job of protecting their kids from the internet, and that's how it goes. That's every parent's job. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, they have to be able to, you know. Yeah.
I would also say at a certain point, personal accountability comes into play. I mean, at a certain age, I understand that, you know, the algorithms are designed to be addictive, but at the same time, it's like blaming fast food for making you fat. You don't have to consume it.
Right, exactly, right. Like, what about candy companies? I love candy. You know, they're addictive. They're bad for my health. What do I do there?
Yeah, I should sue Laffy Taffy for my cavities, you know?
That's right. Hey, listen. I'll join you in that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm joking, but...
All right, so we just got some breaking news. Top U.S. diplomat in Taiwan. The U.S. looks forward to supplying Taiwan with increased volume of liquefied natural gas and crude oil. So we did get that news that just dropped. We did get Qatar Airways is looking for ways to reduce expenses due to the conflict going on. And remember, guys, the president gave a 5-day pause on strikes against Iranian power plants and infrastructure. It's set to expire in 48 hours now, with no new announcement of an extension. And so we will see what happens there. But yeah, exactly, Jay. Yeah. Anyways, Google down a little bit today. Everything's down though. It's not just Google. Nasdaq's down. S&P is down. Gold is down. Silver's probably down. Oil is up. Everything outside of oil. Oil's almost up to $94 a barrel for WTI crude. How much time we got? We got 55 minutes until jobless claims numbers. Let's get a timer going. Yeah, so we get 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We get jobless claims, unemployment. Morning, John made $200 during after hours. Feeling good? Hey, that's great, man. Congrats, brother.
Any predictions on the jobless claims?
Jobless claims, you know, it can come in at a really... There's a lot of variety in like what it could show up as. It's expected today for jobless claims. And today's kind of, or this week's been slower for economic reports. Like we haven't had really any big economic reports this week. So this, you know, we had ISM data, or no, we had flash PMI data yesterday. But outside of that, it's been pretty slow. Jobless claims expected at 211,000. Last time was 205K. So this is, the higher the number is, the weaker it is for jobs. So the higher the number is, the weaker it is for jobs. Essentially, the bigger the number, the more people filing for unemployment. And so it's just a little bit more real-time look at jobs. And again, that drops at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll get a countdown going here. I'm going to just include the countdown in the banner now. Look at that. Okay, so now we got the countdown in the banner now. But as oil pushes up, so highs of the day on WTI crude at 94.13s. 94.01s right now for this. So yeah, I'm not sure what he said. Yeah, let me pop out the chat. Actually. Yeah, I mean, some of these buzzwords you're saying, Satoshi, are just a little bit too much. Copilot last place. Europe. Yeah, I heard bad news regarding AT&T as well. AT&T is down. I essentially heard that, and I might be off here, y'all can correct me, but I essentially heard that AT&T was trying to raise their prices when they're already having like a big exodus of customers. And so, and honestly, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I do not like investing in AT&T right now. And the reason I don't is because I've had an experience trying to get phone service there. Like, I was trying to get my daughter phone service. She's a teenager. You know, we were going to go to AT&T. We were at the mall. We were like, you know what? Let's just go to AT&T. And so we go there, and bro, they're asking for her social. They're asking for all this stuff. They're asking for like these lengthy extended contracts. And at a certain point, my wife and I just kind of looked at each other and we're like, you know what? We could just do prepaid every month. You know, like why would we do this? Prepaid's cheaper, gives you unlimited talk and data, and I don't have to give this person all of this information. Like, they're trying to upsell too much. I think most of these phone carriers, and to be fair, AT&T's pretty diversified. They offer fiber, they offer all this different stuff. So, you know, they might be more resilient regardless. It's just not an investment I like taking because of the business dynamics of these type of companies changing. So I'm just not as interested in buying them, and we'll see what happens. But
I went with prepaid as well.
Yeah, I mean,
just because no, I mean, I used to be with AT&T, and I mean, the contract was up, but man, I just could not cancel my service with them. They just basically almost wouldn't let me do it. It was really a pain in the butt.
Right? No, 100%. And it's not just that; it's that they will. You know, I'm pretty sure some of the reps get paid commissions in how they do it, and so they have a conflict of interest. Not a conflict of interest per se, but like they want to make you pay the most they can. And
yeah,
so
and I understand that.
Yeah.
But you know, I think there's something to be said for like long-term customers and being loyal to your customers and trying to give them the best service possible.
Right, 100%. They're better than Comcast. Comcast is the worst, you know, but AT&T, I'm pretty sure will do it as well. You're like, hey, it's $50 a month. They're like, yeah, it's $50 a month. You're like, you sure it's $50 a month? All things done, everything out the door, $50. And they're like, yeah, it's $50. You're like, okay, great. And then you get your bill, and your bill's $80. And you're like, hey guys, what's going on? And then they're like, oh, we never told you 50. What are you talking about? Like, yeah. I've had that type of interaction multiple times, not just with Comcast, but with a lot of these brands that are trying to lock you into stuff, unfortunately. So
yeah, it's when you find out about like hidden service charges and stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Bitcoin looking bad, down almost 4%. Let's take a look at Bitcoin today, guys. Bitcoin is... People were optimistic regarding Bitcoin for the last week. It was holding over 70. It was looking good. And Bitcoin has fallen back down to under 69. It's not noticeably down, though. It's not... I mean, 4% for Bitcoin is kind of chopped liver. It's not really, you know, the end of the world. Yeah, Bitcoin makes some swings, but it did dip under 70,000. It is now at 69s. Had a tough time yesterday as well. So, and Bitcoin wants easing as well. Bitcoin wants lower interest rates. And so, not looking very pretty today for Bitcoin. Let's put it like a 5 right up here. Although Bitcoin is kind of sideways in range. It's been mostly sideways for the last week. Bitcoin's been mostly sideways. Large range, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of sideways still. Look at this. So we'll see what happens with Bitcoin. Silver? We can take a look at silver. Here's silver right here. We're at 68 right now for silver, 68.40s. Yeah, guys. So let me know if you guys are interested in buying anything. Funny that people are still betting on Bitcoin. I'm not just trading futures. Bitcoin. Are we bearish or bullish today? I don't think I've done a poll yet, actually, guys. Let's do a poll here. Chuck E. Cheese token to the moon? Chuck coin? Is that what you're saying? Dude, Chuck E. Cheese. I used to bring my kids there all the time. When I lived in Houston. Now I'm... Once a kid hits like 8, 7, that's not really that.
Nah, dude, I still love Chuck E. Cheese. Like, I love to go play skee ball. You know, they got the good old school skee ball without the glass in the front.
Yeah, you are about skee ball. You know, we went to a place in Austin called Austin's, you know, and Britt was like, where's the skee ball at? Let's go play skee ball.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah. I see somebody say, will the jobs report move markets? It might. What's a good poll today, guys? List me some options. I'm thinking about just going with, do jobless claims come in higher or lower than the 211,000 expected today? Yeah, 211,000 expected, which is up from last week. Last week they were 205. A lot of people are going to be watching the labor market heading into next week, where we have big payroll reports. We have the official payroll report. We have JOLTS job report. We have ISM manufacturing and services data. We have the ADP monthly report on Wednesday. So we got a bunch of job reports next week, to be honest. And then the week after that's inflation theme. So let's see what my chat suggests. Iran is going to hold markets down for this week. Yeah, it is so far today. Markets are down. Oil is up today. That's the story. Mac and cheese. Inflation report is what scares me. Yeah, well, the inflation report for March, which is going to be not next week, but the week after that, is going to be the interesting kind of sketchy report. Because it's going to include data for March, the current, you know. Oh, we also got news that Iran did let a tanker pass, but it collected a fee of $2 million to do it. The $2 million fee to pass the Strait of Hormuz is being collected by Iran. Yeah, we hear people saying, people are talking about the present that he got. The present, apparently, according to a senior diplomat, was Iran allowing the safe passage of a number of fuel tankers through the Strait of Hormuz in recent days. Iran had been charging some tankers millions of dollars to pass through the strait since it started. Iran agreed to allow a number of fuel tankers that weren't tied to the U.S. or Israel through the strait in order to help calm global markets. He framed it as a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money and a very significant prize. That's what people think it is. We don't know for sure. You know, there's a lot of it's vague in terms of what it could be, and he never really said what it was. But yeah, the EU Commission states there are no current problems with gas supply security, according to EU Commission spokesperson. No current security of gas supply issues in the European Union. Let's see. Let's do the poll here, guys. Let's do a poll. Does today's jobless claims go up higher or lower than expected? 211K is what is expected. Today's jobless claims show up higher or lower than the 211,000 expected. There's silver. Silver's all the way down to 68. It hit lows of 60. So silver has lost, what is this, like 100? Silver's down 50% almost from the highs it made when it went crazy. Yeah, silver got up to 120. So silver is almost down. Not quite down there, but it's getting close to 60s. Almost 50% down from the highs it made in early February, late January for silver. So silver's still falling. Oil's back up to 94 plus right now and just broke highs of the day recently for WTI crude, and Brent crude follows something similar. So we did a poll just now. So far on the poll, 60% say higher, 40% say lower. If inflation is too high, lower, winning. Yeah, I see people talking about the $2 million price.
Silver may be down now, but honestly, I think it's going to go up quite a bit over the next few years as it's used more and more in like for industrial purposes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they need silver for technology specifically. You know, silver is used a lot in building smartphones, especially, and other technology.
It's in a lot of
So
EVs and photovoltaics and stuff too.
yeah, no, 100%. And so but it was up too much. It was just up too much. There were supply worries. Like, look, it getting up to 120 was kind of a crazy thing. It had already pushed up a lot on the year. You got to remember, silver opened up silver mid 2025 was at $37 an ounce. By January this year, it was up to 120. That's a crazy, unsustainable move for silver. You know, and people are probably still underwater in this.
I agree. I didn't expect it to remain high, to be honest, but you know,
Yeah.
I think just slowly over the next few years, and especially over a longer period of that, it'll go up quite a bit.
Right, but there's another dynamic of it that you sometimes see in regards to silver, where there's an incentive to keep the price lower because they use it with technology, right? More so than gold. And they use gold for technology as well. That's not what I'm saying, but sometimes there's an incentive, especially by big tech, to keep the price of silver lower.
Okay.
Yeah. But you probably, I think silver long term still a pretty good investment. It mirrors gold in some ways as well. It's just been volatile. There's been a lot of craziness with silver over the past 3 months. Physical silver, a lot of stuff going on. Increased margin requirements. There's just a bunch of different stuff. Silver, basically, silver and gold are restricted in like even trading accounts, right? Like a lot of prop firms restricted the trading of gold and silver because they were just so crazy and so volatile, like unreasonable swings on the upside and downside a lot of the time. And then when the conflict started in the Middle East, a lot of them did the same thing regarding oil. You know, they restricted oil because oil is so volatile right now as well. Although oil is less volatile than silver was. If we look at oil's volatile, don't get me wrong, and it broke highs a couple times just now. It's up to 94.20s. But silver was just a crazy move. Crazy move. Have you guys traded today? Let's see. Yeah, the big move like that was speculation, not utility. No, 100%. Will there be boots in Iran? It's looking more and more likely. It's hard to tell, right? Historically, again, we see a very similar thing in previous conflicts where one side is like, oh, where talks are going on. The other side's like, talks have never happened ever. I don't even know what a talk is. And we see a similar thing like that now. We're seeing the U.S. saying, hey, we're talking with Iran. And then Iran's basically saying, we're not talking with you at all. What are you talking about? It's a battle of public perception. That's the thing you have to understand. This is what happens because that's what, you know, obviously U.S. military is much larger. And one of the tools that Iran is going to have is going to be the public perception, the pressure, the increases to oil. And so Iran's going to do very little to help push the price of oil back down, right? Because that is going against what they would consider one of their tools, which is to keep the price of oil elevated, which puts mounting public pressure on the U.S. to end this and finish it, you know, and end it and back off, right? Like, and that's essentially what we see. All right, so oil's still pushing up 94.5s. Spot silver's dropping. According to a poll, excuse me. According to a poll, said 65 of 82 economists, the Fed is going to cut the Fed funds rate once or twice this year. PCE is going to average, which is inflation. US PCE inflation, they think, is going to average 3.3%, 3.1%, and 2.9% in quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 versus a 2.8, 2.7, and 2.5 seen in March. So we can see, you know, what we're like, we can see the actual numbers here. And so there is a decrease from the previous reading. So in March, in the March 12th poll, They thought PCE would show up at 2.8% for quarter 2, 2.7 for quarter 3, and 2.5 in quarter 4. Now they see it way over that in inflation. They see it at 3.3 for quarter 2, 3.1 in quarter 3, and 2.9 in quarter 4. Probably as the effects, and this is headline inflation. They didn't give us the core reading, but headline inflation is going to be the relevant one, just because headline inflation excludes food and energy prices, which includes oil, right? Energy, oil. And so core basically doesn't include oil price swings, but headline does, and this is headline inflation. And so they're essentially seeing it dwindle down as the year goes on. Hopefully, because the Middle East conflict is going to be resolved eventually, and we'll see some stabilization in the price of oil, so to speak. So yeah, the Nasdaq's dipping down, oil's pushing up right now. Chat, who do you guys think is in control, the Bears or Bulls today? Obviously, it looks like the Bears are in control right now. Nasdaq lows are at 24,100s, and honestly, a really big level here on the Nasdaq is going to be 24,000. We're at 24,123, but we're within a range around 24,000. And so we'll see what the jobless claims report shows. But yeah, good the jobless claims report shows. See how that affects things. You know, we'll see. Again, chat, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. My opinion, no rate cuts this year. Yeah, I think it depends on what happens with this conflict. The Bears are crushing it. Bears are in control. It's Harry Berry Day. The Bears. I'm seeing most people saying the Bears. The Bears are back in town, is what y'all are saying. Yeah, we're at 24,120s on the Nasdaq. The S&P, the 65.86 right now, 65.86. We have 35 minutes until jobless claims come out. 35 minutes. The Bearstein Bears. As long as it's not Steve, you know. Let me get my chat overlay thing going on. Rips and fades. Yeah, I see Dimitri saying we ripped and fade. Gamer saying I'm glad I got out of my high AMD position when it hit 220s. Lucky the Bear. Bears going to the Super Bowl next year. Saints, we've got Chuck. We're gonna do it. Saints, I believe. Potentially cooler hand. We'll see. This for last week, but we'll see. Hope we can bear it. Yeah, there's a lot of puns we can have here. But the Bears are in control right now. Again, if you look at the S&P, lows of the day on the S&P are 65.81s here. So here's obviously a level 65.81s. The Dow hit 46,300s. The Dow has been really weak. Percentage-wise, just to put this into perspective, right? Let's take a look at how much everything is down from the peak that they were in. Let's see, where's the highs? Highs on the Dow back in early 2026 were 50,611. The Dow is now at 46,345. And so the Dow specifically is down 8.5% versus its highs in early 2026. So the Dow is down 8.5% from highs. Over 10%, a lot of people are going to consider a correction, but it's not really, it's the longer term one. The NASDAQ, which is a little bit more tech heavy, is mostly sideways. So the NASDAQ has been a little bit more resilient. It looks like, especially on a percentage basis here. The NASDAQ highs in mid-October were at 26,399. It is now down at 24,1. So the NASDAQ is down 8.66%. NASDAQ on a percentage basis is actually down more, although its highs were put in October. A little bit slower of a move down. The S&P 500 highs were over 7,000. Typically 70.43, and the S&P 500 is down now at 65.83. And so that puts it at only 6.5% down. So the S&P is outperforming the NASDAQ and the Dow by a couple percentage points. And that makes sense because, you know, the S&P is a little bit less exposed to tech, and tech generally moves larger percentages. So, why isn't everyone short the market? I mean, I get shorting, but I also think there's risks to shorting like everything else. Oil's breaking out. Yeah, oil's breaking out. The NASDAQ is falling down, but oil back over 94 is at 94. It's still pushing higher here. Look at oil. Oil up to 94.70s. We got about 30 minutes before jobless claims numbers show up. Holding cash seems like the best position right now. You might be right. Is that a Mandela effect reference? I don't know. I don't believe in the Mandela effect. I just don't believe in it. I think, look, everybody's always like talking about the Shazam movie. Like, dude, y'all are getting two movies mixed up, and I'll tell you which ones they are. Y'all are getting First Kid with Sinbad, and y'all are getting Kazam with Shaq, and y'all are combining them together to think there was a movie called Shazam with Sinbad, and you're just getting two movies mixed up here. All right, listen, I've solved it. The movie Shazam never existed. All right, y'all are getting First Kid with Sinbad, and you're getting Kazam with Shaq mixed up. Y'all are combining them together and making Shazam, and it just never existed. Two separate movies that y'all are confusing.
Or they're just thinking of the superhero, Billy Batson and all that.
Right. Yeah, that might be true. Don't hate me, guys. Listen, if you believe in the movie Shazam, listen, I'm not mad at you. You're wrong.
What's better between Kazam and First Kid?
They both have a special place in my heart. They're all nostalgic. I would go with Kazam as the better movie. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I would go with Kazam with Shaq. Yeah, I would go with Kazam with Shaq as a better movie.
I think it was more fun.
Yeah. Look at oil, though, guys. Oil up to 94.70s. How does First Kid factor in? Because First Kid had Sinbad in it. Like, look. They were both movies where he had, like, a parent figure and then a kid, right? First Kid had Sinbad. Anyways, I'm gonna talk about oil right now. We'll go back to we'll come back to this, guys. Don't worry. We're gonna come back to it.
It's important.
Right. Oil at almost $95 a barrel now for WTI crude. Brent crude is still pushing up as well. Brent crude I'm showing is at 107s right now, according to Last Day Financial. 107s right now. Yeah, Brent crude sitting at 107s, chat. Look at Brent. $107.70s for Brent. WTI crude up a lot. Boo Boo the Bear. First Kid is a classic. Yeah. Yeah, we're at 107.70s. 107.70s for Brent crude. Oil still pushing up. NASDAQ is breaking down on this. NASDAQ at 24,000. Let's watch 24K. I think 24K is a level here, guys. I think we should be paying attention to 24,000. Very big psychological level. The low, we just cracked under that 24,100's low on the NASDAQ, and we are still fading as oil rips higher here. Look at the NASDAQ tumble. So, the NASDAQ is breaking down here. 5 to 664. All right, guys. Jobless claims unemployment in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. NASDAQ still flushing here.
Also, forgive my ignorance. I'm genuinely asking, what's the point in putting out inflation numbers that don't include food and gas? I mean, it's the two most, well, I don't know about, the two most important things that I would think would, should be included.
Well, because it skews the data in there. I'm not saying I agree with this. I think you should include food and energy because that's what people purchase the most, really. And so, but in their minds, it skews it. Because if you think about gas prices, they can go up and down big amounts. Same thing with food. Food can go up and down big amounts. And so in their mind, it skews the data. Looking at core, they look at both headline and core, which excludes food and energy.
Well, that's true. I feel like, I mean, while they do go up and down a lot, both of those things mostly up. I mean, except for gas. But
over time. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they could still put out an average at least,
Yeah, well, they do. They look at, we look at core inflation and then headline inflation. So headline inflation includes food and then core excludes it. And so we do get a look at like inflation data with food and energy included. It just depends on which one you prefer, and everybody's a little different there. Nasdaq still breaking lows here though, guys. Nasdaq is down to 2486 right now, 2486. Yeah, no, I agree, Scott. Listen, Scott says, but that's not skewing. That's real life. And the world includes food, fuel, and food and inflation. 100% agree. I agree. That's why I look at both. If we're talking like, it depends on which one we're looking at. CPI is relevant. Core CPI is very relevant. We look at PCE, which is the Fed's preferred inflation metric. The main one is core PCE. So, so the Fed doesn't like to look at food and energy prices when they're, gauging inflation, but I tend to like to look at headline as well because I think food and energy prices are relevant, and they're especially relevant right now. Also, guys, I just want to put that out there. Join our Discord. It's completely free. It doesn't cost anything. It's been growing pretty well here. It's been growing pretty well. And, yeah, it's completely free. It doesn't cost anything. I hope to see you guys there. I'll put the link up. Join it right now, guys. I'm not going to pressure you, but if you don't, I'll hate you forever. Do it now. Here's the link.
Peer pressure.
Yeah. Let me get the link here. I'm slacking on the link. Here you go. Join our Discord. It's free. There's the link right there. Check it out. If oil gets close to $200, I don't know, man. We would have a, maybe if we got like a boots on the ground announcement, oil would spike up. I don't know if it's going to spike up that much though. And I think as time goes on, especially when you look at things, it's looking a little bit more and more likely that we're going to get an announcement of boots on the ground there. But yeah. Also, we did get some news earlier regarding AT&T. I was trying to find this here, but again, in a statement to the street, RTM Nexus CEO Dominic said that AT&T's latest price increase is a, quote, massive gamble. They said, quote, AT&T is playing a high-stakes game of chicken with its own customers. Here's AT&T right here. Raising prices while you're already fighting record churn is a massive gamble. They're basically trying to tax the customer who are too busy to switch plans. Yeah, I agree. We also have news earlier regarding crypto that $4 trillion mortgage lender Fannie Mae is going to accept Bitcoin as collateral on home loans for the first time. Oil. Will it break 95s today, chat? Will it break 95s? Are we hearing the voice in your head? Yes. Three things I'm looking for: beating up sectors, industry safe havens, down due to liquidity fears. Find these spots and I'm investing in those now. Yeah, I don't necessarily hate that. I'm kind of a bottom feeder when I'm investing in stocks. I really am. Like, I like to look for what I consider, obviously, I mean, this is kind of obvious and really self-evident, I think, but I want to look at healthy companies that are cheap and down big, I mean, obviously, water's wet. Last time I said that, people started arguing about whether water was wet. But I like cheap companies that are down big, and maybe we have some value here in this market. If you guys think we do, let me know. Let me know what sectors. Let me know what you're looking at right now, guys. Jobless claims coming out soon. 23 minutes here. 23 minutes for jobless claims, unemployment filings. What do we get today? Microsoft. 369s. I'll see what happens with it. Because you elected a dude that was so bad at business, he had to tap out on multiple casinos before internet around the country. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't judge somebody for failing at business. I think everybody, only 1 out of 6 businesses succeed. And I've always told people, and I'm not defending him necessarily. I'm just saying, look, you fail at some businesses, I don't think we can necessarily hold it against you. I think you got to understand most businesses are going to fail. It's about diversification. And honestly, I think the 1 out of 6 statistic is an optimistic one, because what that means is you just got to keep starting businesses. 1 out of 6 sticks, you can make money for the rest of your life with it. Most people try 1 or 2 and then give up, and then maybe they would have succeeded on the 3rd or 4th or 5th. You just got to keep pushing. That's how it goes. People who do startups, they understand this a lot, because they're churning businesses. Sometimes they're trying one, it fails, they're starting another one in a different sector. A lot of it is timing as well. So good timing obviously is really valuable and a priority. Microsoft is down a lot, but to be fair, most tech is down. Tesla's also down a bunch too. Meta. Yeah, Meta was at $800. It's at $600. It's 25% down from its highs. Alphabet, I think, is really interesting too, although Alphabet's had a great year. Alphabet up to 289s.
You think Alphabet's going to continue to climb?
I think Alphabet, especially with the news we got earlier, although they are down from it, but they had one of their analysts build a better compression for memory and have to use less memory potentially on a 6x basis for LLMs, large language models. And so I think that is very good for them to get into. Obviously, I think it means they're they're working to build more things, and I think that's good for Google. AI, obviously, I think they're really positioned to do well in AI also, obviously. But they are up a lot on the year. They 12 months ago, they were at 170s. They're now at almost 300s, and they were over 300 for a while, so.
And some people say that's more.
Yeah, that definitely is more. I don't know. I disagree with that. No, somebody's asking me to look at Walmart. We're at 122s right now, 122s. But Walmart can sometimes be seen as a safe haven as well. Walmart's doing well too. It was at $85 to start the year. It's now at 123s. So Walmart's had a great year as well. All right, guys, 20 minutes here. 20 minutes. Jobless claims, unemployment. Goes live in 20. I don't think we have anything else. Yeah, it's just jobless claims today. We also have Canadian wholesale sales, Kansas City composite index, but that's pretty small. SanDisk and Micron. Well, the big scary news, we talked about this earlier, but and we just talked about it right now, but the big scary news for SanDisk, which is a memory provider, SanDisk is up big. They had their earnings report back here, and they are way up from it. Way up. They went up to almost $800 a share. But look at SanDisk on the year, man. This thing has had crazy swings as well. This thing opened the year at $50 a share. It's now at $700. And so that's some crazy swing. But it just depends on whether the Google news regarding better compression, less need for memory, and AI, LLMs, we see that trend continue with other companies and other things, and see that branch out. It just depends on whether that's true or not. Memory prices are freaking ridiculous, though. You've tried to buy memory, I bought memory not that long ago. It was like $700 for a couple RAM sticks. So. NVIDIA. 176 right now. Hit 180s, though. Did hit 180s. All right, guys, let's do jobless claims, unemployment. 18 minutes. Yeah, you can see oil is currently up almost 5% on the day. S&P's down about 0.75%. Dow is down about 0.68%. NASDAQ is down about 0.94%. Gold is down about 2.5%. The Russell is down 1.16% right now. So, will higher jobless claims be good for the market? I don't know. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Higher jobless claims, like just to give you the push and pull for each of them. Higher jobless claims means weaker labor. If you want rate cuts, you got to have weaker labor to justify it. But I think there's a lot of stagflation worries. Remember, guys, earlier this week we did get, it's relatively small data, but we did get bad numbers earlier in the week as well in terms of data. So we got, what do we see here? Unit labor costs came in at 4.4%. Productivity fell as well. So that means higher costs, weaker productivity earlier this week. And so a lot of people are like, hey, stagflation worries. And, you know, I think I would assume that the market doesn't want weaker labor right now because of that dynamic. Now, you could also argue the other end of that, like, hey, weaker jobs means the Fed might need to cut interest rates and the market wants interest rate cuts. But I think with inflation being such a priority right now with the conflict, it's more ambiguous in terms of what the market wants. I think they could interpret higher jobless claims, which again is weaker jobs, as a good thing and say, hey, maybe we'll get lower yields and we'll get higher interest rate, or we'll get lower interest rate sentiment and lower yields and potentially have more cuts this year to stimulate. Or they could say, hey, it's weak jobs and high inflation right now. That's bad. Recession's coming soon. And that's the one I would probably swing with more. But there's also a chance it doesn't move markets at all. I'm just trying to be real with you guys about it. There's a chance it doesn't move markets. It depends on what the number shows up as. The higher the number above expected, the more chance that it's going to move. The lower the number below expected, the more chance it's going to move, right? If it comes in right as expected, it might not do anything. What do you guys think? You guys think the market wants stronger or weaker jobs? Let me know in chat right now. We did a poll earlier regarding jobless claims, and jobless claims ended up showing, or people ended up thinking 67% of you guys think we're going to have higher claims than the 211,000 expected today. It's expected at 211K. Previous, it was what, 205, I believe? Yeah, it was 205 last time. Today, expecting 211. What is going on with Mara? Mara's Bitcoin related. It's a mining company. But it is popping up big. Look at MARA right now. Just had a huge move up. Let's see. Let's figure out this news. Mara announced a $1 billion repurchase of convertible senior notes due 2030 and 2031 and sale of 15,133 Bitcoin. So a $1 billion convertible notes at discount funded by selling off 1.1 billion. So maybe money coming in. They sold a margin, maybe getting helped by Mara. The buyback and sale of 15,000 Bitcoin, basically. It's pushing up. Oil retreating a little bit from this big run it made towards 95. So I asked people, what does the chat want regarding jobless claims? I see stronger, weaker. Weaker jobs mean market wants no war. Be a bigger number or market tanks. Well, higher jobless claims means more people filing for unemployment. Stronger, we can't have weaker jobs and high inflation from gas prices. That's what I'm assuming the market wants stronger jobs, so they want lower claims numbers today. Lower claims mean stronger jobs. So, again, that's what I'm assuming the market wants. I'm assuming it wants. We have the data in 13 minutes. But I'm assuming that's what the market wants here, is jobless claim. All right, so oil right at that $94 level here. Makes the report look good. I'm deep in infrastructure. All right, guys, jobless claims. Let's see what happens here. Again, the last payroll report showed really weak numbers. We saw negative 92,000 in the labor market. Negative 92,000. We'll see what we get. But jobs have not necessarily looked good lately either. This is why we have a lot of inflation fears regarding jobs. People are nervous that the jobs numbers are going to come in weak. Markets are going to not like it. They're going to tumble down, so forth and so on. And we're going to have high inflation and weak jobs from the conflict. Yeah, Putin is speaking right now. He said it's hard to forecast consequences from the Middle East conflict. Also, U.S. is denying accusations of attacks on Iraqi security forces. Also, Fitch, which is a rating agency, does not expect a significant tightening of monetary policy in the U.S., European Union, or the United Kingdom in bad conditions. So they basically are saying we don't expect rate hikes. Fitch reports that declining stock prices will most affect Canada, Korea, and the U.S. In a negative scenario, U.S. growth this year is projected at 1.5%, China below 4%, and Eurozone below 1%. They warned that, and again, this is a rating agency, Fitch. They're warning that oil and stock prices will create a negative macroeconomic outlook due to the Iran war. But yeah, Brent crude is currently up to $107+ a barrel right now. Although it is starting to fade back down here, if we look at it. Here's Brent crude. It's at 107s even, you know, term chart. Brent crude still falling. Look at our poll here. We asked if jobless claims are going to show up. Here we go, you guys. Jobless claims, 10 minutes left. We have 10 minutes left until jobless claims unemployment go live. Breaking news regarding the Strait. I don't see any breaking news regarding the Strait. What do you see regarding the Strait? Yeah, I just don't see anything. And honestly, I think we would see a bigger move in markets regarding the Strait. If you're talking about the news that some tankers are getting through. We got news that one tanker got through and had to pay $2 million to Iran to get through it. And so if that's the news you're talking about, you know, yeah, that happened, but that happened a while back. Hey, what's up, Andrew? NATO Security General Rutt says there are 30 nations involved in talks around keeping shipping lanes open. All right, guys, here we go. Higher or lower claims today. 67% of you guys out of over 500 votes think higher. 33% think lower today. Let's see. Let's see. Jobless claims coming out very soon. We're at 94.10s right now. The Strait is open, never closed. Yeah, I mean, it's open. But is it open? It's open, but is it open? It's a direct quote from me, guys. Direct quote from me. How can we trust the data? I mean, data's just data, brother. Markets react to it. That's what we covered it. Oil bouncing at 94s. Let's look at the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ tapped 24,078. Got right back over 24,000 here. The Dow is at 46,388. The S&P 500 at 6590s right now, 6590s. Brent crude is right at 107s a barrel, and it's trying to hold it. It looks like so, very similar to WTI crude, trying to hold $94 a barrel here. All right, here we go, guys. Jobless claims, unemployment. 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Yeah, I mean, 2 billion in the grand scheme of things is not a ton, Vasquez. I mean, it's not a ton relative to how much those tankers have in value. So Putin is advising caution and a conservative strategy towards rising oil prices. But just to look at this, guys, remember the last jobs report we got was not good. The last NFP report was bad. It showed up at negative 92,000. And if we look at the trend here, people say, oh, the jobs market is fine. People say, oh, the jobs market is fine. Here's the problem. All right, so let's take a look at this. People say, oh, the jobs market is okay, guys. Here is a 5-year chart in regards to non-farm payrolls and unemployment. This is a 5-year chart. You can see the negative trends here. So you can see the negative trends, you know, in context of everything going on. And obviously we see weakness in the labor market. You know, since July. Now, granted, we had a big rebound in jobs as everything started curbing from 2020. Yeah, so look, we had these really weak numbers, had big rebounds. But if you look at the labor market, especially starting in July of last year, that's when we started to see noticeable weakness here. Hey, look, here's that chart. Last payroll report here showed up at negative 92K. What a bad drawing. Man, I cannot write with this thing at all. Negative 92,000 is this candle right here. So we have seen weakness in the labor market. Jobless claims unemployment drops in 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Companies downsizing, gearing up for a slowdown. Getting so tired of winning, we can't stop winning. It's too much winning. All right, here we go. I'm going to say here we go again, Ron. We have too many working. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the weakness we've seen in terms of spending has been in the lower income sectors. This is something that's just objectively true. A lot of the weakness we're seeing there. Higher income has been a little bit more resilient is what data has shown. I don't use ChatGPT. All right, guys, we have 4.5 minutes left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. You're definitely a top 3 trader from Louisiana who live streams every morning. Yeah, I'm a top 3 brown-headed trader who live streams every morning. You know, that lives in Texas. Definitely top 3 of that group right there. We're at 94,000 on oil. Where's gold at this morning? Gold's still down. Economy slowing. Yeah, we have risks again with the Middle East conflict. We have risks in inflation and labor right now. Last year's really where we saw the deterioration in labor. We got a bunch of big revisions in labor data and NFP data. Markets did not like it, and a lot of people argued we should have gotten more cuts last year, at least larger cuts. Now the question is, do we get any rate cuts this year? You know, late last week the market cratered down, specifically because we had increased odds of rate hikes with some of the verbiage that was going on with the conflict in the Middle East and oil prices surging, and a lot of members and economists think that if this drags on, maybe we will get rate hikes. I don't necessarily think so. At least maybe I hope we don't. But anything's possible. It really is. All right, guys, here we go. NASDAQ at 24,130s here with 24,130s. We have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. Claude is saying 210 according to the trend and other factors. Let's see if AI is good. Claude is good too. I love Claude. Did I say 94,000 on oil? I meant 94. Sorry. I'm used to covering indices. You know. Oil is bouncing. It's at 107 from Brent.
What do you think is a good balanced price on oil? In terms of not too high, not too low, you know, just kind of like a Goldilocks type thing.
I think oil, the number they say is between, it's like 65 and 78 a barrel or something like that. That's the sweet spot. If it's too high, less, it hurts demand. If it's too low, it hurts margins. But I think that's the sweet spot, but other people might be able to correct me there.
Basically the spot where gas is cheap enough, but oil companies are still making enough money to justify production.
Right, exactly. All right, guys, 2 minutes left. I don't know if this report's going to be market moving. We will see. We'll see. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be moving anything really. All right, guys, here we go. Jobless claims releases in a minute and a half. I hope you guys are okay with me saying here we go, because I'm saying it. A minute and a half here. Give me your last minute predictions in chat. What do you guys think we're going to do? I'm going to put it in sub-only mode as well. We're going to throw this thing in sub-only mode. What do you guys think? Give me a number. I'm just going to say a number. I might be wildly wrong. Not an investment professional. We're not liable if you lose. You're going to go with Claude's number at 210. I'm going to go with 208. I'm going to go with 208K. With an over at maybe 213. I'm going to go with 208,000. Put the NASDAQ up here. Let's see how this reacts. All right, less than a minute. Less than a minute right now. A lot of different examples in chat of what people are expecting here for jobless claims. All right, guys, 40 seconds. Make sure you hit the live button. Put it in 2x speed. Make sure you catch up to the stream. We appreciate it. Here's the report going live in about 30 seconds here, guys. 30 seconds. All right, guys, 25 seconds. Here we go. We have about 15 seconds here. Let's see what we get. Jobless claims expected at 211,000. 211,000. Hit the live button next to the play button. We have about 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here's the report. Jobless claims 210,000. Claude got it right. 210,000 versus expected 211,000. Slightly lower than expected. Basically flat data here. It came in at 210 versus 211. Still higher than the previous 205 reading. NASDAQ so far has gone down a little bit on this report. Look at the NASDAQ drop some here. It's not a huge move. Claude got it right at 210,000 versus expected 211,000. I wonder how many people are going to be signing up for Claude right now. 210 versus expected 211, 210. Continuing claim showed up at 1.819 million versus expected 1.86 million. And so slightly lower to flat data here, but the market has digested this as negative. Market's actually dropping some on this report. But we showed up lower than expected here. Lower than expected. Again, we showed up at 210 versus expected 211. I will put this up on screen. But yeah, 210 versus 211. So, Claude, man. Again, Claude got it right. Claude cheated. What did Claude win? Claude won our adoration. I thought Claude said did he say 210 or 211? Anyways, the NASDAQ, again, reacting negatively to this. NASDAQ down to 24,100s. Or approaching 24,100s. Let's watch this low right here at 24,107s. But look at the NASDAQ drop. Again, jobless claims showed up at 210 versus expected 211. Continuing claims did show up lower than expected as well at 1.819 million versus 1.86 million expected. So continuing claims lower. Initial claims slightly lower. And yeah, let's take a deeper look at this jobless claims report here, guys. Remember, this is dropped by the U.S. Department of Labor here. U.S. Department of Labor. But yeah, jobless claims lower than expected. Market's going down here. Market's going down. We'll put this data up on screen. You guys can see it. And again, we're looking at this report, although it's kind of not really. This is done by the Department of Labor, so. NASDAQ down to 24,100. Claude soaring right now. Bulls on Claude? Yeah. Alright, so here, we'll put this data up on screen. There you go. You're welcome, guys. Jobless claims in line, basically. We're at 24,100s. NASDAQ has reacted negatively. The report came out right here. We are now down at 24,100s. Proving once again, even if you had the data in advance, you still wouldn't know what the market would do. 100% agree. You know, I always tell people not to trade this stuff because even if you know what the data is, unless it's like inflation data or labor data, you don't know what's going to happen, especially with earnings. You know, people like to front load onto earnings and stuff like that, but dude, nobody knows which way we're going to go with anything. Next week, Claude is predicting 212,000 for payrolls. That would be wild if we showed up at 212. Look at the NASDAQ still reacting negatively to this, still dropping down. Although the numbers were lower than expected, which means stronger jobs. Just to put this into perspective, this is how many people are filing for unemployment week to week. So, and again, stick around, guys. Stick around. Let's take a look at oil. Oil started to creep up. NASDAQ down. S&P down. Dow is down. Markets are a little nervous here from this report, which is interesting. Okay, so we finally got the report to populate. Here's the actual jobless claims report. They don't really give you any extra data here. Highest insured unemployment claims were Rhode Island, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Washington, Minnesota, Cali, Illinois, Connecticut, and Oregon. So, yeah, but markets are down on this jobless.
Any idea why that reaction might have? Why it reacted the way it's reacting the way it is.
The only thing I can really think of why markets would interpret it like this is because stronger jobs means potentially worse inflation, and in a market that already fears inflation, that might be seen as a negative. Like stronger jobs might be seen as, hey, you know, more jobs, more spending, more potential inflation risks. Do you guys agree with that? That's the only interpretation of this jobless claim report I can really. The other side of that would be that previously jobless claims showed up at 205,000, right? So at 205,000 previously, up to 210 this time. It is an increase of 5,000 week to week, and so maybe that could be seen as the other way, like, hey, we got weaker jobs than we did last week, even though that's already baked in and expected here. Anyways, NASDAQ, Dow starting to tap lows of the day here. NASDAQ is right at the lows of the day at 24,078. 24,078. Yeah, hawkish, higher interest rate sentiment, more inflation risks, potentially, is what I'm guessing.
Okay,
that's what I'm guessing here, but you know, who knows? The other side is that stronger jobs mean no pressure for the Fed to cut rates. Now raise is possible. I don't know what this jobs report that's necessarily going to influence it like that. You know, with this jobs report, it's a week-to-week filing report. We get this every Thursday. But, you know, again, this isn't the big one. Understand, guys, this is not the big jobs report. The big jobs report is next week. Friday next week, specifically. It's non-farm payrolls, unemployment. The last one showed up at negative 92,000. That's the big report this week. Is going to be the jobless, or the non-farm payroll report from Friday. We also have JOLTS next week as well. We also have JOLTS job openings next Tuesday. We did get Canada payroll employment change come out for January. It's a little delayed, but it showed up at 45.6 thousand. Previous it was negative 35,000. So stronger payroll employment change for Canada here. And we did crack lows on the NASDAQ and then rebound right back up. We're at 24,092. Yeah, this is pretty much flat jobs data too. And so continuing claims did come in lower than expected as well. So stronger on both fronts, initial and continuing. But it is a situation in which the data was mostly flat, mostly I would say neutral. versus expectations, and it is weaker for jobs than it was previously. But again, that's already expected in markets here.
So considering this is based solely on how many people are filing for unemployment, I wonder what actual unemployment is.
Yeah, I think the last
you have a lot of people who just dropped out of the job market completely. They're not really even looking, you know.
100%. We can look at yields real quick. I think the last unemployment rate should have been like what, 0.5% still? Maybe it was 4. Yeah, yields are going up on this. So yields are interpreting this as slightly hawk. You see a small jump up at 830 on yields. This is your treasury yields, which kind of reflect interest rate sentiment. There's 830 right there. And Adeline, I love you. Good day. Me and Maddie go back and forth in ping pong, man. I am like Forrest Gump there, dude. I love you, dude.
Let's smoke Maddie in ping pong.
I do not suck at ping pong, bro. That hurts, dude. Y'all know I'm the household champ at ping pong, dude. No. I'm like John Supreme. I'm like Forrest Gump 2.0. You know? In more ways than one. NASDAQ, yields are up slightly. So you can see the small increase to yields here. So a little bit more hawkish sentiment. We're at 3.93. It was 4.4% unemployment. Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah. Fed has 2 mandates, and Jay Powell has said if one moves favorably, it allows them to directly address the other. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is this report is not big enough to sway the Fed's mind yet. It is more real time. So this is last week's unemployment data, right? But it's not big enough to sway the Fed's mind. It's just not. It's not a big enough report. This is a report we get weekly. Maybe they combine them all together. They say, hey, you know, but if we're looking at the net change in jobless claims did increase from 205 last time to 210 today. So they are increasing. I'm trying to remember what the claims were, not last week, but the week before. I feel like they were higher, though. I feel like they were like 220 something, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, though. So I think attention has to pivot to the payroll report we get on Friday next week. You know, we get a lot of jobs reports next week. So again, we get JOLTS next week. And JOLTS job opening report gives us a couple different metrics. This comes out on Tuesday. The JOLTS job report gives us, again, a few different metrics. It gives us hiring, essentially. Like JOLTS job openings, it sounds like unemployment, like jobs are open, but it's really hiring. And so, but they also give us quits, like how many hires happen, how many quits happen. Trying to see if there's an expectation. This comes out on March 31st for JOLTS. Yeah, JOLTS last time showed up at almost 7 million for hirings for February is when the data comes out. So it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be for the last month for JOLTS. And then we also have the ADP employment report on Wednesday next week, along with retail sales. So ADP employment report, it's going to be on Wednesday at 8:15. It's the monthly report. You know, we do the weekly report, we cover the news, but this is the monthly report next week. It's going to be on Wednesday. Last time it showed up at 63,000 positive. We get ISM, which is the Institute of Supply Management Services and Manufacturing data on Wednesday as well. Thursday, we get another jobless claims report next week. And then Friday, we get the big unemployment payroll report. Unemployment did show up, like somebody said, at 4.4 thousand. Private payrolls lost 86,000 jobs. Total non-farm payrolls lost 92,000. Manufacturing payrolls lost 12,000. Government payrolls lost 6,000. And so the last jobs report was really weak. And we get another one next week. So we'll see what that looks like. Hello, Mr. John. Next week we get unemployment as well. I think it'll be at 4.5%. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about 4. I hope so. Okay. Have you ever seen a ping pong show? Yeah. All right, so I'm seeing some news that came out regarding Iran. People are saying escalation is getting worse, but let me see if I can find the actual report. I see the UAE reported that some attacks happened on Thursday. U.S. is considering a, quote, final blow, which potentially involves ground troops and larger scale stuff. If we look at Brent crude this morning again, we've been looking at it all morning. The Brent crude here bounced right at 107s. It's back up to 107.60s. 107.60s for Brent crude. So Brent crude fighting way back. Really just broke that highs of the day. Yeah, Brent crude is over highs of the day right now. Is right at highs of the day. Brent crude is still pushing higher here. At 107.67. As the NASDAQ falls and tests lows of the day. Broke down to 24.69s on the NASDAQ. Here's WTI crude. It's up to 94.50 right now. And I'm assuming if we do get ground troops, oil's going to spike, of course. NASDAQ's going to drop, I think. Balls of Fury, great move. Great move. All right, 94.50s. What the opening bell brings. But yeah, president's threatening boots on the ground. Markets are red again. Here, Britt, something like again.
Still? Like right now?
When you start talking, I think it goes away.
Like, okay, well, I'm going to shut up for a second. Tell me what you hear.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hear anything now. Now I hear something. Yeah, I hear something now.
I don't know what it could be. I'll just mute it for now.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. I don't think the chat might be able to hear. Maybe they can hear you. I don't know. All right, guys. We have 15 minutes until the top of the hour at 9 a.m. All right. Yeah, the interaction my wife and I just had. My wife's like, "Hey, where's the key to the car?" I said it's in my jujitsu bag. She said, "With your gross gi that you wore yesterday?" I said, "Yeah." Just not happy about that.
She should make you go in and get them.
No, honestly, I thought she might for a second. I thought she was like, "Hey, baby, can you go get it?" Yeah. All right, guys. So, Transneft is going to redirect oil from Baltic ports. Iran's IRGC-linked Tasman news agency argues Iran should withdraw from the nuclear NPT. All right, we're at 94.30s right now. 94.30s. Where do we close today in oil, guys? What is Brent close? Again, Brent is up here. So Brent crude currently sitting at 107.62 right now. Where do you guys think this closes today? What do you guys think? Should we do another poll? I think we the last poll was on jobless claims numbers here.
Can you scroll down so I can see the timeline on that graph?
Yeah, this is just an intraday chart. This is 6:30 in the morning, 6:45, 7:15. This is all Central Time.
What did it close at yesterday?
26. It closed at 104.
Oh,
so it closed up yesterday at 104 a barrel. It's now at 107s. I'm looking at the chat. I see 125 right here. People think it's going to close at 125, 120 plus. Y'all think it's going to close today at 120 plus? We'd have to have deep escalation. 113. 106, I think, is a reasonable 1-1.
I think it'll settle between where it was yesterday and where it is today.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. In order for it to get up to 120s plus, we'd have to have big escalation news. Like boots on the ground announcements, stuff like that. And you got to understand, if we do get up there at 120s, NASDAQ's going down, S&P's going down, Dow's going down. So we'll see if that happens. But all right, we're at 24,100s right now. 24,100s. It'll be 105. Not sure why somebody care about Brent. Well, because Brent is the global standard of oil, and this conflict impacts like crude. Crude is WTI crude is the U.S. standard of oil. Brent is the global standard, and I think a lot of people would argue right now the global standard is what people are watching, more so than WTI, West Texas Intermediate, sweet crude. 105, Claude says. This Friday, after the market closes, rumors are that a ground invasion of Iran might begin. If true, prepare for tankage. Yeah, and we got rumors and rumblings of this conflict starting when it did at the end of February. And those rumors and rumblings turned out to be correct. We do have more news potentially like that over the weekend. I'm not saying it's going to happen. We'll see. But see what we get there. Well, gold is going to be moving down with everything right now. But gold reacts less to some of these catalysts covering here. Do you guys think we can see escalation over the weekend? What oil ticker is industry leader? I mean, you can look at a couple ones. You can look at USO. USO at 117s. You can look at Exxon. You can look at Chevron. At oil futures, which is WTI crude. You can look at Brent. Well, why Friday will be red? No deal. Yeah, gold's going down just on hawkish sentiment from the conflict in the Middle East. Higher oil prices means higher inflation, means higher yields, which means bonds are paying more because yields are the annual return of bonds. Which means yields are paying more, less people buying gold is that story. Yeah. All right, guys, opening bell in about 40 minutes. So we're seeing some news that the Iran war is going to fuel a surge in U.S. inflation to 4.2% this year, the highest in the G7, according to a newly released OECD forecast. The jump in inflation is expected to slow GDP growth to 2% this year and 1.7%. Global growth is expected to slow from 3.3% last year to 2.9% this year. Headline inflation in the G20 have been revised up by 1.2 percentage points, and Eurozone growth is expected to slow to just 0.8% this year. So people are worried about hawkish sentiment and more potential rate hikes. Yeah, he did tweet earlier this morning. The president did tweet earlier this morning. We talked about that already, but yeah, that did happen. The president did tweet earlier today. And we are going to be day trading some live today, guys. Another day, another tweet. Let's do another poll here. With everything going on, are you bullish or bearish for the opening bell? Like 20 tweets today. I don't think he tweeted that much. I haven't checked it in a while. I would assume we would see movement if it was like a super relevant tweet. Check it now. Okay, he talked about getting rid of the filibuster. He said get rid of the filibuster. Then it's broken. He has been tweeting today. Or Senate. Honestly, you were wrong. He has been tweeting a lot. He said 2 main tweets today that I would say are relevant for the conflict. We can put up oil and watch oil. This is getting close here. 2 main tweets. One of them, first one, he said, quote, NATO nations have done absolutely nothing to help with the lunatic nation now militarily decimated of Iran. The U.S. needs nothing from NATO, but never forget this very important point in time. And end quote, U.S. president. He also said the Iranian negotiators are very different and quote strange, end quote. They are quote unquote begging us to make a deal, which they should be doing since they have been obliterated. Zero chance of a comeback, and yet they publicly state that they are only looking at our proposal. Wrong. They better get serious before it's too late, because once that happens, there's no turning back. It won't be pretty, end quote. So two main tweets driving markets today. Oil is pushing up heading into the opening bell. 94.50s for WTI crude. Job numbers did show up earlier at 210 versus expected 210, roughly in line. Continuing claims showed up lower than expected as well. GameStop? Dude, GameStop has been flat. Is anybody still interested in GameStop? I know they have like a large cash reserves and they got into Pokemon cards. But GameStop has been really flat since really almost 2024. I mean, this is a huge range to put it in percentages. There's a big range here. You know, but GameStop has basically been doing this for years now. I used to cover GameStop, but the problem is GameStop is GameStop, guys.
You think they'll stick around for a while, or you think they're gonna go away?
I think that pivoting into Pokemon cards is a good move, and I think people still need to buy controllers and consoles and systems. But I think with that, they're still going to be losing. They're going to have worse margins over time because video games are going digital and memory capabilities are going to get better. Storage capabilities are going to get better. You're going to have less need to buy physical copies of video games. And sure, they're still going to have the business of selling used products, and that's great. But I think they are going to lose business. They already have been, of course. And I think this is what started the original GameStop short squeeze in 2020. But I think they could stick around. They'll still have business. They have enough business to sustain. I don't know if they're going to thrive and have huge growth, but, you know.
I personally hope they stick around. I like the in-store experience. I like talking to an actual person about, what it is I'm going to buy. And honestly, I'm pretty old school. I still like physical copies of games. I mean, I have a lot of digital stuff too, but overall, I like physical copies of things.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's, I like GameStop. Don't get me wrong. What do you guys think, chat? Will GameStop stick around? Let us know. They need to provide clarity and roadmaps before they vote on Ryan Cohen's proposed pay package, or it will just crawl along. GameStop will have a Blockbuster moment.
I had to bring up Blockbuster. Man, I miss Blockbuster.
I miss Blockbuster too, dude. Blockbuster was freaking great.
Yeah, dude. Renting a movie or a game was an experience. Like the whole ride to the Blockbuster, like the excitement building up, like, yeah, I'm going to get a new game today.
Right. You get unhappy if you go there and the game you wanted was gone, or the movie you wanted was gone.
Which happened a lot.
Yeah, that did happen a lot. Again, it's just not feasible anymore.
No, it's not. It's nostalgia, really.
Right, exactly. I still miss it, but it's not feasible.
Yeah.
Oil, still sitting pretty at 94.40s. NASDAQ at 24.1s. Yeah, I think with the restructuring going on, and I know they're cash heavy right now with GameStop, they have chances to do things. I think them getting involved with Pokemon is good. I don't think it's enough to really sustain. I don't know if it's enough to really push them into big growth territory. And I think they are having to close down stores because really, like between 2000, I don't know when GameStop really got started. I'm trying to think of it just from my memory, but I think from 2000 to like 2008, 2009, they opened up a lot of stores. And obviously that's not sustainable anymore. So to improve their margins, I know they've been closing down stores, which they should be. You don't need a GameStop around every corner. There's no way that business can sustain itself. But yeah.
It launched in 1999, apparently, and then just grew from there. Like I think 2000 was when they had their IPO.
Okay, so honestly, my memory was right. That's when I remember GameStop coming around. I remember before GameStop, you had Electronics Boutique. I remember that store. I remember KB Toys and Toys R Us would sell video games. Walmart would sell video games. But yeah.
I like Electronics Boutique. They have an arcade too.
Yeah. Yeah. Warner Bros. Says investor vote on the Parliament deal is going to be held on April 23rd. Yeah, so Warner Bros. Has been getting... Netflix was going to buy them. But Netflix now has backed out of that deal. Now it's looking like Paramount is going to get it done. And so Paramount, as long as the deal goes through, is going to own a lot of big famous brands. They're going to own Game of Thrones, most likely. They're going to own Harry Potter. They're going to own... What was the other ones? It's like DC. They're going to own DC. They're going to own Game of Thrones, Harry Potter. There's more too. I'm just not. I'm drawing a blank here, but they're going to own a lot of big TV and movie brands. And we'll see what that looks like. Paramount now has their deal with the UFC, so UFCs are now coming out on Paramount. I think we can see Paramount grow a lot if this deal goes through. I think it's interesting. We'll see what happens. All right, guys.
Speaking of Harry Potter, I mean, like, probably a little old for this, but like, I want to watch the new Harry Potter series that's coming out at the end of this year.
Yeah, I see some news on it. I was never a big Harry Potter guy. Don't hate me, guys.
I grew up reading it.
Yeah, I grew up reading them too. Like, I read the first couple of books when I was young. I never got into them after that. The movies came out, and if I was a lazy reader. I'd read it if I have to, but I'd rather watch the movie. Yeah, Netflix is interesting. Netflix is down. Look at Netflix. Netflix is down to $92 a share here. So Netflix originally reacted really well to this Paramount back out, or the Warner Bros. Back out. You can see all that stuff came out about right here. And Netflix ended up better margin short term. It would have been an expensive deal. And so short term, their books were going to be affected by it for sure. But Netflix ended up shooting up us out at 91.90s here. All right, so there's top of the hour at 98, or at, I'm sorry, there's the top of the hour at 9 a.m. right now. Netflix is at 24,100s here, 24,100s. And remember, guys, if you want to help support the channel, you can check out Apex. Apex has the cheapest accounts in the game right now, really. And if you look at Apex, they've changed a lot of stuff for the better. If you want to day trade, it genuinely makes no sense to fund your own account thousands of dollars. You're probably going to lose it in day trading. Instead, you can try Apex. They've updated their rules. There's now end-of-day drawdown options, no payout denials, no MAE rule, no 5-1 risk rule, built-in scaling, 50% consistency, and you can see pretty cheap accounts. And so I think it's really good for traders that are trying to learn how to trade with risk. Because a paper account is just that, it's paper. It's not really like a big teacher. It'll teach you basics, but you need to have some risk to learn how to manage emotions in trading. And so the good thing about Apex is, like, look, if you want the base one, the cheapest one, it's $17.70 if you use my coupon code BT at checkout. It's $17.70. So it's very cheap. And you're risking something. It's not the full extent. And you can get a bunch of these accounts. You can get 5, 10 of these accounts. Trade them. If you pass 3 or 4, you got 3 or 4 $25,000 funded accounts with a 90% split. And it's just really useful. It's really useful. If you want to go end-of-day drawdown options, they have that as well. $30 if you use my coupon code BT. And remember, most day traders are going to lose. I try to be honest with people. You know, you got people exaggerating profits to try to sell you these things. I'm just going to be real with you and tell you most day traders are going to lose. And that's why this is useful. Because most day traders are going to lose. And again, the sale ends in 14 hours. Guys, 14 hours the sale ends. So now's the time. If you want to help support free content, we do everything for free. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much, guys. If you want to help support free content, I'll put the link up here. It's a great way to help support the channel. You can find most of these links in the description as well. But yeah, you can use promo code BT at checkout. Get 85% off, but that 85% off sale does end in a few hours. So here's the link right there.
A discount.
No, it's a great discount. And again, it'll end in 16 hours. Y'all check it out. They are an affiliate of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them. So naturally, I'm going to be biased in their favor. But at the same time, I think it's genuinely useful. You can check it out. You can also use BT on Lucid. Same coupon code. You can use BT on Lucid. I appreciate the love. If you go back to Netflix, I see Fibby asking a question here, and Fibby says, where did he go? Fibby said, if you go back to Netflix at peak of purchase talks a month ago, it went down to 75, was 130 before the failed acquisition. No, so Netflix went down. I don't know if it was because of the acquisition here. Netflix had just been trending down really since mid last year. I think there's a lot of stuff you could say is the reason for this. One of the big reasons, I think, personally, is we had Stranger Things come out around here. And I think Stranger Things was kind of their big breadwinner. And so because of that, we saw some big corrections after Stranger Things Season 5 was done. A lot of people didn't like it as well. I personally didn't really like the endings. I didn't think it was that good. I thought they rushed it. And so I wasn't a big fan. But I think that's what's negatively impacting.
I was curious about it. I watched
Netflix.
the first 3 seasons and then stopped. I wondered if it was any good after that.
Yeah, it dwindled down. I think season 4 was good. I like season 3 the most, the one where they're at the mall. I watch it with my kids, right? Like my daughter watches it with me. My son, a little bit too young for it. But point is, I think that's why Netflix is down. And they also started dropping as we started leading into it. But yeah, it's about whether Netflix gets more big shows off the ground. Hey, CFA, have a good day. Hey, thank you.
I like a lot of their old original content, like Marco Polo was a really good show. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, hold on. So, hey, John, was it you yesterday who said, ain't it cool? And then asked... It might have been Mr. Scruff. I don't remember the context of that, but it might have been. I remember asking what movie is that from. I don't know if it was Ain't It Cool. I think it was a different quote, actually. But maybe it was that. Let me know the movie. I'll tell you if it was. Is Microsoft a buy? I'm not saying anything's a buy or sell, and I'm not an investment professional, guys. We're not liable if you lose money. Nothing here is financial advice. Some of the links are affiliate links. Don't copy me. Basically, understand all the stuff on screen. Not an investment professional. We're not liable if you lose. Understand CFTC 4.41. And we'll see when we get into the opening bell today. But Microsoft is down a lot. It was at 550s mid last year. It's at 370s right now. But what I think we're seeing right now is competition in the AI space. Yeah, it wasn't me. I've never seen that movie. Scruff. Looking at yields. Yields are still slightly elevated from claims numbers, but yeah, so I see some stock news coming out. Apple has partnered with Bosch, Cirrus Logic, TDK, and Qnity for AMP collaboration. Meta is unveiling Tribe version 2 predictive foundation model. Trump is apparently planning wage hikes for H-1B employees. We're going to get ready to trade today, though. We do have our funded account here.
You should watch Broken Arrow, John. It's a good one-time watch. Christian Slater's pretty good. You know, John Travolta's pretty good.
All right, I'll check it out. I'm a big movie guy. So is Britt. All right, guys, we have 23 minutes into the opening bell. 23 minutes. I don't know if I'm long or short right now. It looks short. I'm assuming we get maybe escalation stuff, but Fed should increase rates. Congrats on 170,000 subs, John. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate the support. I haven't seen Carol in a while on stream. She just came on stream right now to complain about it. She didn't come on stream, but again, she complained she had to fish the key out of my jujitsu bag with my gi in it. Probably a fair complaint, I would say.
That's okay. She had a clothespin on hand.
I traded a gi yesterday. Dude.
What's the running joke on the water bill? I need to be let in on that.
I just ask people if they're bullish or bearish on my water bill. Generally speaking, Carol is known as the plant murderer, and so we had a literal geyser in my backyard for a long time.
I didn't know about that.
So my water bill was high. A few times it was like $900.
Oh my god!
Yes, I said 900, chat. So
what did you do, Carol? What did you do to Carol? Look.
Lately, I've talked Carol about getting into flowers. She was really into vegetables for a while, like planting veggies and stuff. But then we would never eat the veggies anyway. And so I was like, "Hey, baby, why don't you plant flowers? You know, flowers are cool.
Way more temperamental too, honestly."
No, exactly. That's the problem she was running into. And so she got really into flowers recently.
I've tried growing like squash and tomatoes and cucumbers, and like, dude, I do not have a green thumb. Like, I can't grow things.
Yeah, me neither. I just don't. I don't at all. All right. Let me. All right, guys. So yeah, Nasdaq is rebounding here. We have the 200 exponential at 24,142. So we're looking at that. What's up, 7-5? ARM had news yesterday. I see somebody saying, why did ARM skyrocket? ARM did have news recently. You can see how big of a push this is. And I was one of the early investors in this IPO. I don't usually mess with IPOs, but I did buy ARM when it first IPO'd. I rode it from like 60s to like 150s, and then I sold it like 6 months ago, I would say. I don't know how long. I don't quote me on this. I'm not exactly sure when I sold it, but I remember I rode the IPO up a bunch. ARM did have news. The news on ARM was, let's see if we can find it. Yeah, in-house AI chip announcement. Popped 13% yesterday. Day before on a in-house AI chip announcement. So ARM's been running up. No, that's my friend Britt. I've known Britt for a long time too. He's like, what? How long has it been since I knew you, man? What, 15?
Yeah, I met you walking. I was walking down the road, and you picked me up in your car just randomly when we were 15.
Oh yeah, yeah. This was like 20-something years ago. I think I was a cool 15-year-old. 15-year-old.
Yeah, well, you picked
was
up
kind of cool.
a weary person trudging down the road in your car. So pretty cool guy.
Right. I did you a service back then. I was like, you know what? Let me give this guy a ride.
And then we ran into each other again randomly, like a couple weeks later.
Yeah. Oil coming back down. Yeah, I see oil here. I don't know if it's coming down, I would say. Brent crude might be. Let me look at Brent. Brent is sitting at 107.13s right now. So Brent is kind of sideways. Here's Brent crude right here. Worldwide standard of oil. And this is the intraday chart. It's at 107s. So Brent crude not really doing anything. We're going to get into our funded account today. So here is our funded account. I'm thinking about shorting this rejection. If we think oil is going to continue pushing up at the opening bell, maybe I can short 200 exponential here. You know, looking at the volume profile, though, we do have a lot of high volume nodes around this area here. Maybe over the 200 exponential. There's some slivers here, but underneath this might be more interesting. You could look at some levels here. Hold on. I think 150 right here, 24 150 short term should be relevant. This right here, it's right around the 200 exponential, and it's also previous resistance if you see it. So whole dollar number, previous support, previous resistance. So we get over 150 and hold, maybe I'll go long, up to maybe 175s, 180s, and just kind of scalp it. If we do not, and instead start to fade back down, I think this range from $100 down to the low of the day is interesting here. So here's 24 100s right now. Also, volume profile kind of confirms it might be a level here as well. I think if we get underneath that, there might be an interesting play there as well, but see what happens. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now for the opening bell. I'm also going to look for like orb setups, opening range breakout setups, see if we can get some, good stuff with those. And we will see. We will see. I have a friend who owns a couple car washes. Yeah, it depends on, car washes don't seem like bad businesses. Depends on what kind though. You got the manual washes. Or you have the actual, obviously the bigger car washes, that the automatic washes are going to be more expensive. All right, look at the NASDAQ. Hold on. Let's see if there's some news related here, guys. The NASDAQ just ripped up. Let me see if there's any breaking news. Hold on one second. Oil dropping, NASDAQ pushing higher here. Let me check tweets. But we did just get a pop. You guys see this pop? People are confirming oil is down too. So some type of thing just went on here, but we didn't really hold the gains in the NASDAQ. Look at the NASDAQ come right back down. Here's oil. The oil dumped as well on this news, so something just happened. I don't see anything here, to be honest. You guys see anything else? I don't see anything. Yeah, just kind of got balled back up. Interesting. Yeah, 15 minutes is the opening bell. Something could have happened. I don't know if it did. I'm not saying something did happen. I'm just saying we usually when you get a big move like this, a lot of the time it's catalyst driven. Not always. Like sometimes we could just be moving. And I've got a bunch of different sources here to check for breaking news. I don't see anything recently. Last news I see come out that Apple has partnered with Bosch. We could get news late, though. Somebody might have insider information. But I don't see anything yet. Yeah, it could be insiders. That's exactly right, 7.5. Yeah, interesting you said that, because I just said that too. Okay, so, actually, wait. What could be going on is, I don't know if it would affect it this way. I think we'd actually get opposite reactions. I see Iranian political and security source cited by Al Mayadeen alleges that Trump's 5-day deadline is a, quote, new deception, end quote, with altered tactics. But I think, wouldn't this cause more instability and increased oil prices and lower NASDAQ? So I don't know if that's what would be moving this here either on the NASDAQ, S&P. Well, he said that already regarding the begging for a deal thing. Not seeing anything across the wire. I asked people, are you bullish or bearish for the opening bell? 59% are bearish, 41% are bullish. So mostly bears in chat right now. We can ask again, are you bull or bear here? Deadline is in 48 hours, Stoic. He's saying, when is the deadline? 48 hours. So we'll see if he sticks to it. People always say, Brit, there's a big famous word right now, and it's called taco. And the abbreviation stands for Trump always chickens out. Basically, everything he says he's going to do, he ends up doing the opposite. And people have taken that, and I'm not agreeing with that. I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm neutral. But what people are doing is they're taking the opposing trade to whatever he says. A lot of people have been doing it. So if he says the war is almost over, people are taking the other end of that, saying, okay, it's time to buy oil because the conflict's going to drag on, so forth and so on. And so the big word is taco. right now. NASDAQ is pushing up, though. And again, don't get mad, guys. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying I agree with it.
I'm not going to take a line one way or the other on that.
Right. No, for sure.
But I did wonder where that moniker came from, though, so thanks for explaining it.
Yeah, yeah. If you see anybody mention taco, that's generally what they're meaning. So read at the opening bell. Bear or beer today? The WCR article that might be doing something sitting in the Discord. Yeah, you know, guys, I promoted my Discord earlier, and not that many people joined, and I'm kind of personally hurt by this dynamic here. So I'm going to put the Discord up right now. Join the freaking Discord, guys. If we do giveaways of funded accounts, you're not going to be able to participate because you're not in Discord. Join the Discord. There's the link right there. Check it out. Let me see if I can find this article.
It's going to do like the Bernie Madoff thing. You can't be in our club. We don't want you in it.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's too exclusive for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so Paul just posted an article that said the WTI chief called on countries on Thursday to overhaul global trade rules, telling them the old world order has gone for good following a year of turmoil sparked by U.S. tariffs and wider geopolitical tensions. Yeah, I don't know if this is what's moving it. Really what we've seen is a decrease in the price of oil, but that's kind of getting bought back up too. Discord is a chat app. I can't find Steve the Bear fan folder. All right, guys, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Yeah, this week again a little bit slower. We haven't really had we just haven't really had any big economic reports or market moving things aside from Iran. All right, so I see Tevin say, quote, "Bro, everyone is sleeping on the underlying issues, and that is that the market, especially oil, has reached such crucial levels that the world cannot sustain if it continues to drop." I'm assuming you're talking about the supply continues to drop and the price of oil continues to go up, is what I'm assuming you're meaning there, Tevin. With Brent crude over 107s and oil, I don't know, Brent might have dropped with that news that we got earlier too. Let's see. Brent. Yeah, Brent's under 107s now if you look at it. Chef. The president just tweeted that it's time to give up before it's too late. He's been tweeting a lot today. And somebody mentioned this earlier, but he has. Yeah, I don't see anything. The last thing he posted was 2 hours ago, 1 hour ago. And it's basically just arguing with he wants to terminate the filibuster. But outside of that, I don't really see anything he's posting regarding conflicts. These were hours ago. It's hard to tell. Truth has way too many ads. Where can I join Discord? Right here, Fred. Yes, Sigma, the opening bell is in 9 minutes. Great, will be open soon one way or another. Only tweets like crazy when the market is down. Yeah, we can see yields have settled a little bit, but they're not really moving here. We'll see what happens. The NASDAQ has been in a range here, guys. So here's the NASDAQ. It's getting over that 200 exponential level here that we talked about at 150. We are getting past some of the high volume areas on the volume profile. Here's the high volume area short-term volume profile. We fade back into this, it becomes a lot likely we're going to top sideways, I think. If we can get over this, there might be some room for profit, but with the opening bell at 8 minutes, fall a little way just because volatility open. We did fall underneath the 200 exponential. Oil has fallen back down slightly from that report or whatever that influenced the price of oil. Gold's kind of quiet when I looked at it last. No, I thought gold was pretty quiet. NASDAQ back under the 200x or NASDAQ back over the 200 exponential, pushing towards 150 here. If we get back under the 200 EMA, maybe I'll short it, but insiders have stated that what they do is wait until the president y'all are too political for me. Yeah, the ads are just too much. All right, so EU's catalyst right now, European Union's catalyst says rising oil prices are providing funds for the Russia conflict. Catalyst talks about finding a way out of this conflict overseas. The China foreign minister says China and Canada can work together constructively. According to a Deutsche Bank survey, most investors expect a ceasefire will happen by the end of next month in April. We also have Iran's foreign minister Syed Abbas Arachi holding a phone conversation with his Brazilian counterpart to discuss bilateral relations as well as the U.S. conflict. Okay, so we did get some news earlier as well. But most investors are seeing a ceasefire by the end of April, according to Deutsche Bank. So,
What's your opinion on that? I don't know if it'll be, finished by that point, but I do think it will be a short-term conflict.
I think even if it is, that's too long, and that's going to negatively impact oil. End of April, that's a month plus away.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's not super long, but I think the longer this drags on, the more it's gonna hurt things anyway. You know what I mean? I think I think as long as this goes on, it's gonna be worse. But I don't think that's good for the price of oil if it lasts until April. We don't get a ceasefire before then.
Yeah, short term, I think you're right. What do you think if the operation, as it's being conducted, is successful? Like, what do you think the odds are long term that oil prices will drop pretty significantly?
Did you say if this lasts long term?
No. I was saying, if America quote gets what they want or whatever, however you want to put it, what do you think the odds are that long term oil prices will drop pretty significantly?
Yeah, I think they're going to drop significantly if that happens. But I still think they're going to be higher than like normal for an extended period of time, even if that does happen.
Do you think it'll take a while to come down, even after the end?
Yeah, just because the Strait, it's not going to be back up tomorrow, regardless of whether a deal gets done today, which is not going to. But it's going to stay closed indefinitely for a period of time, and just the supply and the dynamics of it are changing, which is cause increased worries, scarcity with oil and more. And so I think even if this conflict ends tomorrow, it's going to be some time before we see back to normal oil prices, regardless, right? But obviously, the faster it ends, the better it is for oil, or low prices.
Yeah. Historically, I guess I would assume prices have been pretty slow to come down from peaks.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with oil and everything going on.
Goes up fast, drops slower. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. Yeah, so we have 3 minutes left into the opening bell, guys. NASDAQ is kind of sideways, but we are right around that 200 exponential. Look at that level we drew on the chart, that 150 level. That 150 level held right here. Look at that. It is confirming that level as resistance here. Maybe we have a little top up here as well. But we are going to wait. We're sideways right now in terms of the NASDAQ here. And we'll give it some time. But hopefully we get some good movement today. Honestly, the market has been kind of sideways, even with it being up and down in a larger range. The net long-term move looks sideways. So be careful trading in this environment, guys. We have 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left until the open. And let's see what we get. Bull or bear, guys? Bull or bear? I asked people earlier. 57% are bullish. Refresh this. Yeah, 57% bullish, 43%, or 57% bearish, 43% bullish. Yeah, the NASDAQ sideways. I'm looking at 150s. I'm looking at 100s below us. And then obviously we have the low of the day down here at 73 on the NQ. That's what I'm watching here. But we're going to let time go on and see how this plays out. So. John sits on a throne of lies, according to Pew Pew.
Still sitting on a throne, though.
Right. I would say this is my, Game of Thrones here.
It's your Iron Throne.
Yeah, that's my Iron Throne. All right, guys. Hey, we got 1 minute left. Or actually, we have about 30 seconds left. 30 seconds to the opening bell. How could you, Pew? I feel betrayed right now, dude. I'm personally offended by that. Now, I'm reading our Discord chat. It's kind of funny. All right, guys, here we go. Opening bell. Look at the NASDAQ push ahead of the opening bell, though. So we have about 20 seconds. Make sure you hit the live button. Look at the NASDAQ jump up here. So I'm wondering if something went on right before the open here. Let's check. Breaking news. Saudi's Jadon says we will see even more severe disruption in oil than 2020 if the Iran conflict is not resolved. There's the NASDAQ, and we are falling down here. Look at this. So here's the opening bell. You can see the volatility uptick, but red open as of now. Red open here. Oil hasn't really moved as much, but look at the NASDAQ fall here, guys. So the NASDAQ has had a red open. There's 24-100s right here. 24-100s. This is that level we talked about, but it's too close to the opening bell for me to trade this. So 24-100s right here. But we do have a node right here that we got to watch here with a big high volume node area right around that 24-1s. But some red at the opening bell, guys. Some red. Let's see if this is stock related here. Nvidia's falling down some at the opening bell with everything else. Meta's dropping as well. Google's dropping as well. Microsoft's actually up slightly since the last 2 minutes or so, but it is still red at the open like everything else. But we have gotten some red. Again, we're going to see if we can cleanly break under 24-100s here. But this is too volatile to really trade, I would think. So big oil and the war machine winning. All right, chat. Let's see what we get. We have popped up. We're at 24-1s. Trying to hold at 24. That is kind of my level here. We're about 2 minutes into the day. That 24-100 level is my level. We're not quite 2 minutes in, so we did hold support there. So look at that. Let's watch this 150 level. We also have confirmation, obviously, in 160. We're going to watch for the opening range. It's still a little early for it to form. We're only 2 minutes a day here. All right, so here's more weakness. Look, there's 24-100s right there. We're testing it again. Holding support at where? 24-100s. Now we're pushing back higher. Get the 200 exponential. Look at that push down here. So we finally cracked under 24 100s. If we hold this move here, though. Promise it. Hey, I'm tempted to short, but it's too early. This is my funded account, and I'd be one of my funded accounts. I'd be breaking rules if I shorted early. I gotta stick to my rules. Why is the VIX flat from this? Well, because the VIX has been getting pushed up and down a lot. The last few weeks, really, all the stuff going on. So even though we're getting opening bell volatility, I'm sure the VIX is still kind of sideways. And the VIX is pushing up right now with this drop, but it's not up at 27.10. Yeah. I wanted to short, but I gotta follow my rules. I can't trade before at least 4 minutes after the opening bell. I'm not gonna target the open. Doesn't make sense. We're getting sideways consolidation and chop here. We could look for a 5-minute orb just to look. So here's the opening bell right here. The open. We fall underneath this, I might short. We're actually allowed to short, but this is that last 5-minute candle, so we'll see what we get. You guys think it's bull or bear right here, long or short? Let me know in chat, long or short. All right, so we are starting to push up. I'm going to wait for this little 5-minute range to break. If it breaks on the downside, I'll definitely be interested in a short. On the upside, I think it's a little bit iffier. We'll give it a second. Bull, bear, long, long. Depends on oil. Oil's up some since the opening bell with the NASDAQ being down, but we gotta let this. We have the 5-minute opening range now, so we'll look for a break of that. Maybe scalp it if we get stuff. All right. All right, so here's the low break here. Those buyers are stepping in at the 24-100 level. See, that's the high volume node right here. Point of control on the volume profile right now, short term. So we'll let it mess with this, but start breaking down underneath it. That's when we'll jump in short. Look for a quick breakdown under the lows underneath level here. Okay. Yeah, just be careful. Market's not really easy to day trade right now, I would say. Careful. Could pop back up here, but back into that high volume area. See if we get some push downs here. Jumped in 6 contracts here. Let's see if we get the push. Definitely not good. We jumped in. We got a little green. All right. Gotta cut it. I thought it looked like it would break down, but you don't love to see it. Don't love to see it. Get over there and say, oh wait, y'all don't have the chart up. My bad. Where's the chart? Oil now at 94s. Might jump back in short here. I did just jump back in short just to show you, but we're almost break even on this now. Here we go. Better. We're gonna start to cut some of that. There we go. Not an easy market to take, but there we go. It's better. Half off there. Hold the rest, see if we can add to it. If it goes in my favor, we'll cut it if we go red. It's really consolidating. Alright, so we did get a nice breakdown here. There we go. I'm going to add to this now. There we go. We're off there. Yep. Got the rest right there. Not up or down in the day. Okay, yeah, now I'm basically breaking. Alright, cool. So we got ourselves back to neutral. So we are back to neutral. I don't know if I like a short still. It could. I think we're underneath that 24,100 level, so we could reject, but it's so choppy right now. I don't. So if I do take some trades, I'm going to start small. Like I might short this little rebound back up to 100 and then add to it if it goes in my favor. But it's small. We have one micro contract here. Choppy range is choppy. That way we can be a little bit loose and not be a crazy person with price action. That's much better now. Now we'll add. There we go. At half. There's the low of the day. There we go. Under the lows. Cut that too. All right, so that plan worked out as well. My direction was right. My management of the trade was wrong for that first position. Still an announcement at 10 o'clock. All right, so Iran apparently laid out terms, warns of U.S. deception. They've formally responded to a U.S. proposal via intermediaries and awaiting reply, according to sources. Iran's conditions include an end to hostilities, guarantees the war won't resume, clear reparations, and a ceasefire across all fronts and allied groups. It also insists that control of the Strait of Hormuz is a legal right and a safeguard for any agreement. Showing that's breaking here. So, yeah, so Iran has officially responded to the 15-point proposal. Is the news we're getting right now. I'm pretty sure we got the same thing from them yesterday, though. This is Trade-Evade right now. This is a Lucid funded account, Trade-Evade. So yeah, this is a Lucid funded account, Trade-Evade. Again, if you want to check out Lucid, Lucid's really good, like, feature is they have a direct to funded option. Pretty relaxed rules. You can kind of see their direct to funded option. If you use my coupon code BT 238, you go direct to funded and 25k option. You can go directed funded, get 150k funded account for 588. 90-10 split, 10-to-1 micro scaling. So reasonable rules, especially with how I trade. I think Lucid is a good option for how I trade. If you want to check out Lucid, I'll put the link up. You can use my coupon code BT on there as well. You can also find these in the description. Yeah, here's Lucid. Check it out. Really love your show, man. Keep up the good work. Made 7:45. I'm done for the day. Hey, nice, Robert. Congrats, dude. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Kitty. I think now it's formal. Like, we're getting a formal response. I joined this live just to say I bought 20 shares of Microsoft. I'm asking for prayers. Hey, good luck, T. Good luck, brother. All right, so we got back up to that 24,100 level, a little bit over it, but we didn't really hold, and now we're seeing if we're going to start reversing here. Praying it's not a sound investment strategy. Some people would disagree with that. You're down 7,000? What did you buy? You buy Microsoft. Look, there's the Lucid link right there if you want to check it out. All right, NASDAQ's starting to rip back up here, though, so maybe markets are interpreting this formal response as a positive thing. So Tasnim is now reporting that Tehran is waiting for the other side's response to its position on the American proposal. We sent our response to the American proposal yesterday. So again, Iran formally responded to the U.S. proposal and is awaiting a reply according to sources. Their conditions include end to hostilities, guarantee the war won't resume, clear reparations, and a ceasefire. Also insists it controls the Strait of Hormuz as a legal right and safeguard for any agreement. Markets are kind of interpreting this as a positive, and oil's falling down here. NASDAQ is starting to push up. Here's the 200 exponential, though. I'm looking at 150s. We'll do a similar thing. We get over 150s and hold, we might attack a long. But, yeah. We'll see. See if this optimism continues. All right, there's the NASDAQ starting to push. All right, starting to still push. All right, we're back up there. Do I want to buy this dip? We kind of got what I wanted here, but yeah, maybe I should have, but where are we going to get pushed back down? Should have gone with my own strategy here, guys. Said over 150, we got over 150. Look at that green candle. So optimism is here. On that response. Now they're waiting for the U.S.'s response, apparently. Iran is waiting for a U.S. response, according to Tasnim. We got this little dip. I'm gonna buy this right here, I think. We're gonna add to this down here. Back at that 160 level, see if we bounce. There we go. Got a little bit of a bounce. Let's see if it continues. Little small trade. We'll add to it deeper if it's in the greed.
What do you think is going to happen? Bullish or bearish?
I am bullish right now. In fact, I'm gonna cut some of this up here. I'm seeing if we bounce off of 150 is what I want to see. I'll give it a second, but I don't think it's easy, and I think we're just kind of getting faked out a lot today. Like, we're going up, and then we're retracing back down, and then we're going down, and then we're retracing back up. And a lot of it is news related. I assume the U.S. is going to say maybe more optimism here. There we go. We're back in the green. We'll give this a second now. Take a little bit more off up there now. We'll let the rest ride.
I don't think they're going to agree to the terms, personally.
No, they don't, but they might say more constructive things is what I'm thinking here. I don't think they're going to agree either, but it might bring us to some type of middle ground place that we can at least get a ceasefire going on as potential there. Here we go.
Give
That's
him other
better.
options or routes.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna start cutting this position. The idea worked here on the bull side, and I think we're probably getting there we go. All right, we're gonna cut the rest up there. So good. Bull side worked. We did get Tasnim citing a source, and again, Tasnim is working with Iran in these stories. So again, they said, "quote: It is clear that the U.S. claim of negotiation is merely a third-party deception project." The Iranian response stressed that ending the war must include all fronts, including resistance factions. All right, so far so good here on this front. Hold on, let me see. Okay, good. All right, cool. We are green on the day now after that bull trade. We'll give it a little bit more time, let this play out. I'm still bullish. We get down to 160s, I might buy it again here. But it'll be a tight risk. We're going to start small again and add to it. It goes in my favor. We tapped 160s. I don't know if we're going to be able to catch it. Maybe I'll be a little stubborn here. There we go. There's one. All right, so we're going to start small and then add to this if it goes into the green. If it doesn't, it'll be a small loss. Add some more. Got a little bounce here. Add a little bit more up here. Go. There. But most of that. We'll scalp. But that brings us to pretty decent amount of green on the day. So could have held maybe. Maybe I was a little bit too wimpy with that exit, but my trading improved dramatically after I stopped watching the news. Yeah, I mean that's how it goes, man. The news is very one-sided on both ends. The truth is somewhere in the middle is one of my favorite quotes because you passed my eval because of you. Hey, congrats, my friend. Hey, thank you. I appreciate the donation. I'm betting the president doesn't want negotiations. He wants Carg Island, 90% of around economy, 15%. I don't know. I think he wants them to work, but his conditions for them, his conditions are pretty one-sided, which, a lot of people would agree with. In terms of agree with his conditions, I mean. So, I think he wants it to work. I don't think he wants high oil under his watch. I don't necessarily think, especially with all the craziness and swings and labor market fears and inflation fears, I think that does put pressure on him. Hold on. Alright, so the bull side did work out correctly here. We're now up to 24,200s, rebounding back up. Oil is falling down as well. VIX is falling down some as we speak here. VIX is down to $93 even. But I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you, my friend. As far as military action goes. Yeah, I hear people talk about rumors about stuff going on this weekend. We'll see. Alright, so we're getting a red camp now. I don't know if I necessarily like the long side as of now. I've already made enough on the long side that I think I have to just be more patient now. Maybe look for 160s or 150s again, but I think if we start to retest that, there's also a chance of a reversal. So I'm going to go with the same strategy I've been using, which is that start small in the position. Don't add to it if it's a losing trade. If it's a losing trade, you cut it with small size, and that gives you small losses. If it's a winning trade and we push up enough, you can then add to it and see if you can ride that momentum higher with larger size. And then if it turns against you, you can get out break even. If it goes in your favor, you've got larger size trade that works out in your favor. So your wins are big, losses are small. And that's the goal here with my trading in this environment right now. So we'll see what happens here. Oil falling. Any news? Oil's falling because the markets are pushing up. The recent news that we're getting here is that we got a formal response by Iran. Iran is saying that the Hormuz sovereignty will remain its right. Some of Iran's demands or assurances that the conflict will not occur again, and so forth and so on. But we did get an official response from Iran laying out what they would need or what they want, like certain demands for ending the conflict, which I think shows further along in talks with them. Obviously, I think this shows that we are getting a little bit farther in terms of talks. If one side's putting out demands and the other side's putting out demands, it's better than them basically just denying altogether that we're having negotiations or talks here. So maybe some more optimism. I think that's why you see oil prices falling back down. WTI crude currently at 92.98. The NASDAQ sitting at 24,200s here. Iran warns U.S. negotiations are a, quote, third deception to buy time for further actions. Yeah, I mean, they're going to keep saying stuff like this. Again, it's a perception war, what it is. All right, so here we go. We're starting to dip down. We got into a couple good trades. We are down green on the day here. That red candle now. Starting to see some pullbacks. You can watch 24,200s if we're looking at just levels here. I think 24,200s does make sense to watch. $24,200s, but it doesn't look like it's holding super well. Trying to look at the volume profile. Maybe 190 here could be a level previous. Dude, trade debate's bothering me. Make it easier to draw a line and level to your trade debate. Come on now. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. I used to like Quant Tower. Probably switch to Quant Tower next. Here's 200 right here. Alright, here's 24 twos. All right, we are heading towards 10 o'clock in the this morning, and we don't have any big data coming out at 10. But NASDAQ is starting to fall back down. You can look at 175s here next, potentially. But no 10 o'clock data today. $75 right here. Yeah, I don't like how you draw lines on trading on Trade Evade. I think there needs to be a better way. I want to put a straight line across this. All right, so look at this pullback here. Here's 160s again. But we are starting to dip back down. Let me make sure we don't have breaking news here. Hold on. Senior Iranian official says Iran's assessment is that it is one-sided and unfair, serving only the U.S. interests. Iran has reviewed the U.S. proposal that has been conveyed. So, yeah, I mean, they don't agree with it. NASDAQ's starting to tumble back down here, though. But again, a senior Iranian official says Iran's assessment is that it is one-sided and unfair, serving only the U.S. and others' interests. Did get a bounce right there at 150s, 160s at the 200 exponential right here. Look at that 200 EMA bounce. We get a little retracement back down, we'll buy it. All again, same plan. Start small, add to it if it goes in my favor, cut it if it doesn't. Look at this candle though. Whoa, big candle at the 200 exponential bounce here. Look at that. Look at that candle, guys. All right, so a senior Iranian official says Turkey and Pakistan are trying to help establish common ground between Iran and the U.S. There's still no arrangement for negotiations and no plans for talks appear realistic at this stage. Oil still falling down. It's at $92.95 a barrel. Diplomacy has not stopped, and if realism prevails in Washington, a path forward might be still found. That is what's pushing markets right now. Again, senior Iranian official says this in chat. I'm going to put it up in chat right now. This is the news right here that is causing this push. I will buy a little micro dip here with maybe 2 contracts max. See if this move continues higher. We already have a green cushion on the day. Up, it looks like. We're starting small. We'll add to it if it goes green, guys. I'm going to reduce my risk here a little bit. Maybe it's too wimpy of me, but I'm just going to take 1 micro here. We'll give it time to work, see if it bounces it, but all right now. I want to give it time to stabilize. But there's some optimism to be had with some of these quotes, I think, is what the story is. And that's why markets had that big green candle. Again, an Iranian official just said diplomacy has not stopped, and if realism prevails, Washington path forward might still be found. Quote. And I think that's optimistic. I think that's why markets are pushing higher here. Oil's pushing down some. Yep. Add to it here. Very flat so far here, guys. Flat here on this trade. Oh, we're green. Trying to be patient. liquidate some of that, to be honest. Wait now. One contract here, keep it small. I just don't trust it enough. We added to it, but then it kind of fell back down, so. After this quote here from that Iranian official that says diplomacy is not stopped, and if realism prevails in Washington, a path forward might still be found. But I'm trying to keep my losses small here, so that regardless, we're going to be green on the day. And if we go big in my favor, great. If not, we can cut it pretty small. Yeah, we're going to cut it right there. I'm not going to hold. Maybe it bounces right here, but still green on the day nonetheless, I'm pretty sure. Look at oil right here. Yeah, we're green. So. I tried to get in this little micro pullback to see if we would break highs. It still might have been the right move, but risk management wise, I had to cut it. Kind of chop it sideways. Oh wait, I have a meeting today. Hold on. Oh. Very sideways chop here, guys. We're not really doing much. Now we're starting to break down, so it looks like me cutting that trade where I did was the right decision here. Apple is going. The oil's still falling down, but we're starting to slow here a little bit after the bell. Apple is running up some.
Well, at least the statement from Iran allows for a little bit of optimism for
Right.
now.
No, 100%. Yeah, some optimism is here. Apple is up. I'm watching oil too. All right, we're at 92.75 right now for oil. So oil still seems to be falling down here. Is there a word for dramatic chop? Irrational non-exuberance? Some of you guys don't understand that joke. Yeah, we're now 40 minutes past the opening bell. Oil is choppy here, guys. Oil is choppy. The markets are just not looking very exciting. Aside from the news coming out, I'm going to go ahead and close the stream down. I actually have a couple... Hold on. Yeah, I see news. Iran is rejecting U.S. proposal delivered via mediator, vows to continue fighting. But yeah, I'm going to cut out of here, guys. Again, if you want to help support the channel, check out Apex. Again, Apex, cheapest accounts of the game. Recently did a complete update to everything they have here. So you can see they now offer end-of-day drawdown options. No payout denials, no MAE rule, no 5-to-1 rule. Built-in scaling, 50% consistency once you're funded. You can get funded in as little as 1 day. So there's no 2-day funding rule or anything like that. If you can get in one trade if you pass it, but again, most day traders are going to lose. Just understand this. But again, you can get the cheapest one for $17.70 if you use my coupon code BT. $17.70 for the cheapest one. You can get a 150,000 funded account challenge eval for $39 if you use my coupon code. Pretty cheap, man, for 150k eval. $40 if you use my coupon code BT at checkout. That's a pretty good deal here, honestly. And just understand, again, most day traders lose, but this sale does end in 13 hours and 50 minutes, about 14 hours. So I'll put this link up. Be careful. And yeah, we will see what happens for the rest of the day today. Again, kind of back and forth stuff going on. A little bit quieter in terms of, like, in regards to price action. But again, if you want to check out Apex, here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. And listen, guys, everything we do here is free. I genuinely appreciate all the support. There's the link right there if you want to check it out. It's also pinned to the top of the chat. You can also use BT on Lucid as well. Check them out also. And yeah, I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow for Friday. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good.
Later, guys.
Yeah, y'all have a great day. Again, not an investment professional. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And y'all have a great day. I'll see you guys later. I know I'm still here, guys. I know I'm still